Okay, I am now live again, and my top is from Una Ritchie, and it is available at Trist in Power Plant in Rockwell. So it's linen, it's really nice. It's actually a bandeau, I think. It's a crop top. So yeah. So tonight we are going to talk to like three beautiful, successful women. And I've already spoken to Kelly Misa, and now I'm going to talk to Maggie Wilson-Consunji. And before that, I'm up to my second drink. This is from Mix Mojo PH, and they have this new drink. It's called Mix Mojo Premium, and this one is Aviation, and it's personalized. They'll send this to you with your name on it and everything. So let's try it. This is a new drink. I don't know what it is actually. So just have a glass with ice, and it's already mixed for you. You just have to pour it in. Ay, color ano siya. It's lavender in color. And then it comes also with cherries. So I like a lot of cherries in my cocktails. So let's open this and let's put it also in the cocktail glass. So this wow, look, that's such a potent smell. I love the smell. Ang bango ng cherries, grabe. I miss going out. So I'm gonna pour it in. Look at that beautiful pastel color. So let's dump it there, all of it. And then let's give it a taste. Oh my god, this is so strong. Baka mamaya kay Tweety super lasing na ako. So anyway, we are going to talk about love and the multifaceted woman. And this next girl that I'm going to talk to, I met her in Binibining Pilipinas when I was writing for Binibining Pilipinas. She is, of course, a Binibining Pilipinas world. And, you know, she's a beauty queen. She's an actress. She's a host. And now she has a new YouTube channel about her, like, interior design skills, diba? Parang she's now on YouTube. And when you watch her, it's really funny because you see that this girl is not so perfect. She has humor, diba? That's so refreshing. So let's see if Maggie's here na. So I told her na she's not yet here. Wait. How do I go? There. She's here. Maggie is here. So Maggie Wilson. I mean, like, if I want to feel bad about my life, I just look at her feed.
No!
And I mean that, and I mean that in the best compliment. Hi, Mags!
Hi! Hello!
Kamusta ka?
I'm good. Ikaw, how are you? I was
I-
watching you and Kelly earlier.
Did you learn anything?
Of course! Always.
Anyway, I saw your ulam kanina. You were eating lechon kawale, crispy pork belly.
It was
That's
so
your ulam.
good.
I didn't know that you eat, I didn't know that you eat pork. Kasi parang you don't eat anything eh. Char.
No, people always assume that I don't eat, but I actually eat like a construction worker. I said I can eat for like
also. You eat like a man.
I do. And you know what? I credit my good genetics from my parents. But
Your
yeah,
mom is
I
so
eat.
beautiful. You posted
Thank
about
you.
your mom. I think Mother's Day, she's so gorgeous. She's like
Thank
very
you.
gorgeous.
Oh,
Very
thank
gorgeous.
you.
How has your lockdown been? Pero nakalabas ka na. Daya mo, nag-aman pulo ka na nung weekend. So how many days were you in Aman?
We were in Amman for 5 days, so 4 nights and 5 days. It was great. So happy that we got out. You know, naawa na ako kay Connor, my son, because he's literally been at home, like he's under house arrest because of this whole lockdown thing. So when they opened up, I told Vic, I was like, we need to go now, like as soon as possible, as soon as there's an available booking.
Tomorrow, ganyan. Or let's go later, ganyan. I think the last time I saw Connor and you was Christmas time in Rustan Spa. That was the last time I saw him.
Yeah.
That's the last time I saw him. Of course, like I said, na parang when I want to feel bad about my life, I just go to your feed and, you know, I feel sorry for myself. And I mean that in the best way. I mean that in the best way because you have a fabulous, fantastic, you know, vacation-filled life. I mean, when you were dalaga, was this something that you envisioned for yourself? That you would always be traveling? That you would be like this influential woman, you know, that would be posting like so many beautiful pictures of the world. I mean, what was your vision for yourself when you were still single?
Okay, honestly, before moving to the Philippines, because I grew up in Saudi Arabia. And at the time, there weren't a lot of opportunities for women. It was, you know, I grew up in a very conservative country. And so what a woman can do was so limited. So I did not see myself doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I always thought I was just going to end up going to university, maybe becoming
In
a
the
lawyer.
Philippines, university here?
No, well,
Elsewhere?
either here or the UK. But yeah, I never saw
Are you
myself.
drinking, ba? Are you drinking? You have
I'm
coffee?
not.
Okay, I'll drink
I have
for
work
I'll drink
tomorrow.
for the both of us. I'll drink
Go for it. But
Okay,
yeah,
and then?
so I never saw myself as being a model or a beauty queen or being in the industry, period, because we didn't really have that in Saudi Arabia. And, you know, I was a very, very athletic and awkward girl, like awkward teenager. So, you know, even the day that my agent approached me at the mall, I looked at him like he was crazy, like, what? Me? And he was like, yeah. And I didn't know much about the industry then. So I just sort of like got thrown into it. I was a very quiet and very shy girl.
You were a
in the
quiet
beginning.
beauty queen. I remember I met you in Binibini. I'm like, she's not like the other beauty queens in the way that she keeps mostly to herself. I mean, like, of course, you're always very put together and everything. You're very quiet, you smile, but you're not like super like chica beauty queen, diba? So, of course, when you were discovered, I mean, you joined Binibini and you won.
I did, yes. Well, I was
How did it
actually, I
feel?
started,
Yeah, how did it feel?
sorry,
when
no,
you
I started modeling when I was 14. So I was already like modeling then, and then I was acting already even before I won Binibini. So at the time, you know, I guess one of the reasons why I did win was because I was already very comfortable in myself. And yeah, I was only 17 at the time, so I was very, very young. It was a long time ago. I'd say 13, 14 years ago.
Well, you look the same.
Oh, thank you.
You look the same. You look like Lindsay Lohan, sabi nila.
Oh, I used to get that a lot, actually. But
really?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Parent trap, diba? So anyway, you won Binibini. How did your plans for yourself change when you became a beauty queen?
Honestly, to be completely honest, I really did not want to be a beauty queen. It wasn't something that I wanted that I was into at the time, because at the time I was also an MTV VJ.
Yeah, I remember.
And that for me was more exciting. But you know, it was a dream that, you know, that my mom had and that my manager had, and you know, my whole KF family super believed in. Yes, Tito Raj. He super believed in me. And so, you know, I was like, you know what the hell, let's do it. But you know, I don't regret doing it at all, because I really did learn so much being a beauty queen. People don't know what goes on in trainings.
Yeah.
I always joke that beauty queens train for like the Olympics. And pageantry is and pageantry is kind of like that for us. Like, it's like an Olympic sport here in the Philippines.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, you won, and you will forever be etched as one of the Binibining Filipinas beauty queens. And that's a great cachet. I mean, like, to add to your acting and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you came into acting and hosting. What was that like? Of course, it's a natural progression, diba? From being a beauty queen to entertainment, showbiz. What was that like? How did you get into that?
Well, like I said, I got discovered when I was 14, and actually I got signed to GMA Network right, like literally 2 days after my agent found me. So I was already signed with GMA when I joined Binibini. But after winning, of course, you know, it just opens up so many more doors.
True.
Yeah. So I got so many more soap operas after winning. I did one.
You did one with Isa.
Yes, that was the last one I did before I quit
Madami ka
show
bang ginawa?
business.
Madami kang ginawang teleserye.
Yeah.
You did
Yes,
How many?
I did another one with Robin Padilla. It was called Joaquin Bordado.
I remember. Yeah.
But
You
yeah,
were the badass chick.
Yeah, I was the kabit in the story. I always played the contrabida, but I loved it.
Yes, of course. Mas meaty yung roles ng kontrabida. Of course, di ba, you
Yeah.
became a TV star also, and then parang for a while, di ba, parang you were sort of like the, I won't say naman bad girl, but parang you were like not the bida. You were always the contrabida
Contrabida.
and stuff.
Yeah,
diba? Oo,
and
tapos
I loved
you would
that.
join. I remember you would join game shows and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, diba, there's this pivot that happened in your career, and like parang wow, Maggie Wilson became a brand, diba? And it's parang I feel like you were already very successful as a single girl, diba? Before you met your husband, before you met Vic, diba? Parang you were already very successful. You were already a woman on your own. How did meeting him change your path in life? Like what you wanted to do?
Okay, so I met Vic when I was really young. I first met him when I was 19.
Teenager?
Yeah, I was 19
Okay.
when I met him. But we didn't get together until I was 20.
Yeah. 1 year.
Because we were in separate relationships.
Diba may boyfriend ka?
Yeah, and may girlfriend din siya.
Oh, but you're friends naman with her,
Yes,
diba?
yes, we are.
We're all friends. We're all friends.
Yes, we're all good. Yeah. Yeah, so he was still with his ex at the time, and so was I. And then, my ex and I obviously didn't work out. 4 months later, I think it's 4 months or a couple of months later, he broke up with his ex, and then I guess we started dating, and the rest is history.
Diba he followed you around like a sick puppy dog? And
He
then, like,
did.
You
He
were
did.
like, parang, who's this guy? Ganyan.
Honestly, first of all, I didn't know who he really was. Like, people were like, oh, you know that he's part of this family? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, because one, I didn't grow up here, and I don't make it my business. At the time, there's no social media also.
Correct,
so it's really so it's none of my business to ask people like who they are and what do they do. So, but yeah, so when he started,
and it's not important. It's not important.
It's not.
Diba?
Yeah, it's not. And so when he started like courting me, I was always the type of girl na hindi ako nababahante. And so I would jump from
like flip your hair, parang hindi ako nababahante. I love that.
I would jump from one relationship to the next.
Okay.
And so after I broke up with my ex, I didn't want to be in a relationship with anybody. I wanted to be single. I had like all these plans. I wanted to be I wanted to be single for 2 years. I don't want to be in another relationship. But Vic was just so persistent. Like he would show up. Like if he found out I was in Boracay, he would show up. He would fly there, and all of a sudden I'm like, what are you doing here? He goes, oh, I saw that you were here. And I'm like, okay, but I'm working. He goes, yeah, that's fine. I could just hang and wait until you're done. And so he really, he was so persistent.
Yeah, I know. I think I read an article, I saw an interview that's how he courted you, na parang talagang stalker type. Di ba? Parang, how did he find out where you were? How did he find, like, sino yung friend mo na parang nag-feed sa kanya na information? Or how would he find out that you were like in Boracay or stuff like that?
So we have a lot of common friends, obviously. And I didn't know at the time, he was talking to one of my really good girlfriends. Apparently he would call her and just talk to her about me. And my girlfriend was like, okay, this is a problem. We need to sort this out now. And so I feel like it was her who was telling him, okay, she's going to be here, or she's going out tonight. I scheduled a girls' night out. We're going here. So just be there. Just show up. And he would do just that. Like, I'll be out with the girls, and all of a sudden he's there. And I'm like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Because, I just came to hang out. I'm like, okay.
Siyempre, you would get a lot of attention, di ba? Parang, what was it about him that made you look his way?
Honestly, if I look, for me kasi, looks are not
kasi
important.
He looks like kasi di ba he's so monstrous, di ba? So parang ang hirap naman niya mahalin, di ba?
Monstrous!
He's such a great looking guy. I mean, like, I met him, like, the first time I met him, I think it was his house. Like, he threw a shower for Cheska Garcia. So that's the first time I met him. So sabi ko, ang gwapo naman itong lalaking to. So parang, of course, you knew that he was good looking from the start.
Yes.
Diba? What did you think about how he looked like?
and actually that was one of my issues, is because he knew he was good looking, and you know, guys
Ah,
who know
okay.
they're good
That
looking,
they know they're guapo.
yeah, I don't like
Okay.
that. So I didn't give him too much attention, and that's probably one of the reasons why maybe that he really persisted, because like, this girl is giving me a hard time. Like, he's probably so
Talent.
used to getting all the girls, right? Or the girls that he wants, that, you know, I rock up and I don't care. And so, but he was smart. You know what he did? He went after my friends. Like,
Niligawan niya yung mga kaibigan mo muna.
yeah, yes, that's exactly what he did. And then, yeah, and then all of a sudden, at first my friends were like, "Oh no, no, don't date him. Like, not him. Like, you know, you've heard stories about." I'm like,
What
yeah,
stories
yeah,
daw?
yeah.
Ano daw? Like he's a
Like, he's
player,
like,
ganyan.
yeah, like he's a player and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I know. And then all of a sudden, all of my friends are like, you know, maybe he's not so bad.
Yeah. The
And
one thing
so,
I remember about your relationship is that you had this really steamy, sizzling
oh my
pre.
God.
Do you remember that? You were like in the car. It's like, oh my God, I remember
How
we
can
sitting
I
in the car and
forget?
like, oh my God, this is one hot couple. Like, oh my God, itong sexy, sobrang sexiest couple na napanood ko. So how did that come about? Like, how did you finally, you know, become his girlfriend? So how long did it take for him to stalk you or, you know, court you?
I mean, I just honestly, not, I wouldn't say so long. It took like a couple of months. And he was
Okay.
the first one who said, I love you.
Oh my God! Is that
Yeah.
like, for a pretty girl, is that an achievement or is that something na buti naman nag I love you na siya? Or is it like,
No,
how does
it
that
was,
feel when a guy says I love you first?
so when he said, I love you first, I sort of panicked, and I was just like, I panicked, and I was just like, I can't say it back yet.
Uh-oh.
And he was like, no, 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 that's okay. You know, I'll wait. But
Nice.
so when he said that, I was like, oh, okay. And you know,
Oh, yun yung reaction. Oh.
yeah, no, I panicked because
Uh-oh.
I at the time I wasn't there yet, you know.
Nauna
And
siya.
so, yes, and I wasn't used to that. Normally, I'm like the first one to tell the guy that I love them. But yeah, with Vic, it was the other way around. And so yeah, it worked out like that. Eventually, you know, obviously, because I think at the time it was the right time as well. Vic is 12 years older than me. So
Not bad. He's hot.
yeah, he is, and he still is.
He is,
But,
definitely.
yeah, but you know, at the time, you know, I was such a young girl, and I already knew, like, okay, this guy is 12 years older. He might be looking for something
Did
that's
I hang
really.
or did she hang? Oh, there.
No, no, I see you, and I hear
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, so at the time, I knew that, you know, he might be, he wants to be, he might want to be in a relationship that's super serious.
Okay.
And so it was something that I had to sort of tell myself that, okay, maybe one day soon, this guy is going to want to settle down and get married. And so there was a little bit of panic as well, because I was so young.
Yeah.
And that's also one of the reasons why I didn't really want to super commit to him. Like, I just wanted to, I guess, have fun. I really didn't want to be in a relationship. But of course, you know, when someone is as persistent as Vic, and when your friends and your family starts to, like,
Support
you know, tell
him,
you,
yeah.
So, you know, eventually, of course, I fell in love with him.
How did you know that you were already in love with him?
Oh gosh, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't
Kasi
honestly.
diba mga girls, because Maggie, diba girls, they have a defining moment. They know. Parang most girls, I don't know if you're this type of girl also. Diba like that, diba, Clueless is 25 years old. Clueless was the fountain scene, and she goes like, oh my God, I love Josh. So every girl from there on, they have a defining moment of when they fell in love with the guy. Can you identify the moment that you found out na parang, oh my God, I love Vic. I'm in love with him. Or hindi mo ma-pinpoint sa dami ng magandang memories nyo? Siguro
Honestly,
ballpark. Saan?
I don't. Maybe it was around the time of my 21st birthday, because he super made the effort to throw a huge party. He tried to make it a surprise. He called all my friends, and you know, and I was like, wow, no guy has ever really done something like that for me. And that was sort of like, oh, you know, that was him. Yeah. And then he also got us a dog, And then when he got the dog, I was like, oh no, here we go. This is,
This is
this
no
is
turning
legit.
back. May anak na
Yeah.
kami.
This
Yeah.
is like, we're going to have a fur child together.
Yeah.
He's locking me in.
And then, of course, syempre, ang galing niya. He's so tactical in terms of like the party and then the dog. I mean, like, parang ano na talaga yan. I'm locking you down.
Yes.
Girl.
Yeah. And that was his
Because, like,
intention.
yeah, because the dog, di ba, parang ano na talaga yan. It's a sign of permanence, di ba? So
Yes.
after that, how did he propose to a beautiful Miss World like you?
Okay, so the funny thing was, I kind of had a feeling that he was going to already. Well, he gave it away as well a little bit when, after 9 months of being together, he took me to meet his mom who lives in the States.
Okay.
And when he introduced me to his mom and his stepdad, he said to his stepdad, listen, Papa, because his stepdad at the time was quite ill. And so he said to him, listen, I just want you to know that this is the girl I'm going to marry. And I just sort of like laughed and I'm like, yeah, okay. This was 9 months.
Ulit?
Sorry?
Nagpanic ka ba ulit?
Yes, I did. I was like, oh, but he hasn't, like, he said that, but then he hasn't proposed. So I was just like,
Yeah.
okay. And then this was in 2009. And then for Christmas that year, I spent Christmas with my parents, with my family, because at the time, both my parents lived in Saudi Arabia. So Christmas, we're always together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he spent Christmas with us and he bought me 2 Christmas gifts that year. And, we have this family tradition where we open our Christmas gifts together. Right. And he said to me, are you sure you want to open the gift now? I was like, yeah, why? Yeah, of course. And so what he did was he got me a ring.
What kind of ring? Is it a princess cut? A diamond? What kind? Details, girl.
So first of all, he packed it. So obviously it's in a small box, but he packed it in a bigger box and he stuffed it with candy wrappers. So I wouldn't know what was in it. And then obviously when I opened the box, literally my heart sank. I was like, oh, and it was a ring. It looked like an engagement ring, right? And I'm like, and I look at my dad and my dad's about to have a heart attack. And he's like this, like, what is it? And I was like, is this? And Vic's like, no, that's not it. I was like, oh my God. And my dad was just like, oh, thank God. And I was like, so wait, what is this? Because it looked like an engagement ring.
Yeah.
But it was actually a promise ring. A promise ring that looked like an engagement ring. And so he goes, this isn't the engagement ring yet, but I want to, basically he wanted to let me and my family know that he was serious about proposing to me. And so I wore this promise ring and everybody thought we were engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone was like, oh, congratulations. And I couldn't, like, how do I tell them? No, guys, it's not it. Not yet. Yes. Yes. But eventually he proposed on February 13th. Not on
naalala mo yung dates.
Yes, he proposed on February 13th on a trip that we took to Bali together. And he didn't get down on one knee though. He he proposed to me in the bathtub while we were having a bubble bath.
Nasaan yung sing-sing kung nasa bathtub? Siyempre, wala siyang damit nun, no? So, where is he hiding the ring?
Parang he put it behind the candle. And then, nung ready na siya, he just like, okay.
Sinetap na niya.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, ang cute. O, tapos.
He did. So yeah, on Feb 13th, 2010, we were engaged.
You became an engaged woman.
I did, yes.
How old were you when you were engaged?
I was 21.
Oh my God, baby girl.
Yeah.
Grabe,
yeah,
so hindi ka nag-panic nun kasi parang in-anticipate mo na.
Yes.
So, panic days mo.
Tapos na. So yeah, so when I mean, obviously when I was beginning the relationship along with Vic, I was just sort of like, okay, this guy is going to want to settle down. And so it's something that I needed to decide on as well if I'm ready for it. Yeah. And I'm the kind of girl that had a plan. I wanted to be married by 23, have kids by 25, and so when he proposed, so when he proposed, I was like, okay, it's 2 years earlier. I guess it's okay. I'm happy with him. And so
Of
yeah,
course,
we got
it was the right decision, most definitely. Because when people see you together, when I see you together, parang iniisip ko, parang sobra silang bagay. I mean,
oh
like they were made for each other. Like, even what you do now is complementary to what he does. Diba? Na parang,
hmm
I feel like you're already an accomplished woman. And then, by falling in love with him, by getting married to him, sort of, yung naging trajectory ng life mo, naging complementary din sa ginagawa niya. Was that a
yes,
conscious decision on your part? Because you are now an interior designer.
yes,
Am I correct?
yes, that's right. So when he bought our first home, it was also a surprise. He didn't tell us. He didn't tell me that he bought a home. And so he just sort of surprised me, and it was done and ready. And because, of course, he's a guy, he designed it to be very masculine.
Oo. Parang
And
pad ng lalaki.
yes, more of like a bachelor pad. And so I've always had an affinity. I've always had a love for interior design. And so when he told us, okay, after a couple of years, we're building a second home, I decided to go back to school and study interior design. And then, one thing led to another. And now we have this great work, partnership going on. Yeah.
And then you're not only an interior designer, you're also a YouTuber now, a casa.
Yes. Yes.
How did you get into that?
So one of my really good friends, Patrick, has been pushing me to start a YouTube channel. And I just always thought it was so much work and so daunting. But, thanks to the quarantine, because
Walang choice.
exactly, like, I was like, I had to close my store for the first 2.5 months. So, Patrick's like, now's the right time to do it. And I was like, you know what the hell, sige, go push.
And the one thing, because I look at your feed, and like my friends look at your feed, and everybody follows you, and like, this is so perfect. I mean, like, not a hair out of place. Like, how do you allow the wind to work in your favor? Kasi meron ko yung picture ni Parul, nakita ko talaga, na parang, paano niya na-direct yung hair? Parang, how did you, siguro mga 100 shots yun, no? Pinili mo na lang na parang naka-burst siya na ganyan. So anyway, it's such a pristine, immaculate feed. As in, you will never find a hair out of place and everything. So ang perception ko sa'yo, perfect ka. And then I watch you on YouTube, you crack jokes, di ba? They give you a 30,000 budget. And then you're like napapatawa ka. So parang it's a great facet that I see in you in your YouTube channel. So I didn't know that you were that kalog or funny, di ba? So was it a conscious decision to show your personality talaga in the channel?
It was the goal of my friend Patrick, who's the owner of Lit Lab Studios.
Yes.
It was his goal.
Also.
Yeah, so it was Patrick's goal. He goes, babe, kailangan makita ng tao.
Si Carlo pala yung friend ko. Carlo
yeah, yes, also from Lit Lab. Yeah. So, goal talaga yun ni Pat na gusto niya, he wants people to see me the way he sees me or the way I behave, when I'm with my friends. Because yun nga, on my feed, you don't really see a lot of that or any of it, really. Maybe sometimes on my stories. But yeah, so it was important to show na when I'm with my friends, super bakla din ako. Like,
sabi ko nga, baklang babae pala to si
yes,
ko inisip na baklang
super
babae pala tonight, baklang babae.
And I have a potty mouth. I say I'm super frank. Like I have no filter.
Girl, you are funny. Like, when they give you a budget, you are, like, nagulat ako parang, paano? Diba, parang you sound like my gay friends. Diba? So parang, how do you feel like the pandemic, of course, diba, the pandemic hastened your, like, YouTube channel, diba? Parang, for somebody as well-traveled like you, and for somebody that's a globe-trotter, and, like, parang, you show your followers, all of us, every single one of us, the beauty of the grabe yung world sa eyes ni Maggie Wilson. I mean, you have such a magnificent eye of the world. The thing that I love most about you is you are able to show all of your followers that the world is a beauty. Alam naman natin lahat na magandang mundo, diba? Not everyone can afford to see the places that you see, but that I think your gifting is that you are allowing people to see it through your eyes. And all of a sudden, this pandemic happened. Diba? Parang ikaw, bigla ka na lang, alam mo yun, parang hindi ka na makaalis. So how did that affect your creativity? How did that affect you as a person that's, you're never in one place, diba? For a long time. So how did that affect you as a woman?
It was so hard because this is the longest I've ever been grounded in one place for such a long time. it was so hard at first. I mean, at first you just, you know, because we didn't know how long the lockdown was going to last. So we were just always hoping, okay, in a month it's going to be over. And then now it's 2 months and then next is 3 months. It was horrible. Like, yeah, being stuck. But the nice thing about it was my sister is also grounded. You know, my sister lives in Saudi Arabia, but because of the whole pandemic, she's stuck here and she's, you know, staying with us. And so at least now I have more time to spend with my sister. At the time, Connor, we had to homeschool Connor. We had to do virtual learning. And so we spent a lot of our days homeschooling Connor. So we were very busy. I was, you know, cooking more. I was doing all these. Yeah. So that's sort of how I coped.
Ano yung na-discover mong skill na hindi mo alam dati na sobrang galing mo pala sa skill na yun? What is your learned skill?
Oh, I learned how to do like this sort of artwork with. I'm a creative, so I need to do something. So lately, I've been experimenting on creating some artwork, which maybe I'll sell on my store.
Oo, magsulan, Yusuf ka.
Oh my God, girl, no, not that level. Sauce is another level. She's so good at what she does.
Carpet na, parang sabi niya, ang dami creativity, mag-carpet na nga ako. Alam mo yun? Happy birthday, Sauce!
Yeah, birthday pala niya today.
Yeah. So anyway,
but yeah,
ano yung natutunan mong skill?
Oh gosh. I learned to cook so many more dishes. Actually, Vic learned how to bake bread. He's a great baker. Yeah, he's a great baker, by the way. Like, it was I'm like, wow, who knew?
Right.
But yeah,
right.
So for me, I learned that, you know, I could be more patient than I actually am.
Totoo.
Yes. Especially when we
teaching kids, even if they're your kids, teaches you a lot of patience, diba? Parang, oh my God.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So like homeschooling Connor, and we had to homeschool him for, I think it's 2.5 months, 3 months. It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of work. And I'm literally like, I'm making out all these study modules. I'm typing everything out myself.
Megan Fox daw. You look like Megan Fox. Lindsay Lohan tas Megan Fox ngayon. Okay lang ba sa'yo? Okay lang sa'yo like when they call you like Megan Fox or Lindsay Lohan?
Yeah, of course. It's a compliment.
No offended.
No. I find them very attractive. Like, you know, like looks-wise, they're very beautiful girls. So, you know, I do get it a lot. People will comment on my like photos and say, "Oh, you're like the Megan Fox of the Philippines."
True and, you know, naman, mas lagpas pa nga. Ang pangit kayo ng feed ni Megan Fox. Ang ganda ng feed mo. Who takes our pictures pala, Maggie, by the way? Is your husband, is Vic an Instagram husband? Did you train him well? Like Kelly also trained Carlos?
I didn't have to train
for you to train him.
I didn't have to train him very hard because he actually used to be a photographer in his younger years.
Ay, talaga? Oo, naalala ko na. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so what I had to train him lang was, syempre yung eye ng lalaki, iba sa eye ng babae. So, what he likes to see is different from what I like to see.
Yeah. Pero kasi like, ang eye ng lalaki, like, for example, you work with a female director, you work with a bakla director, you work with a guy director. I feel like a woman is more desirable through the eyes, through the lens of a male director, in the same manner that a woman is more desirable, sexier in the eyes of a male photographer. Your photos are very sensual, but it's not bastos. So, hindi ko alam kung paano mo nagagawa yung balance na yun, na parang you're already topless, and yet it's not bastos. It's alam mo, it's respectful. I don't get how it's still respectful, even if it's overtly. You get what I mean, Maggie?
Yes,
parang,
and
it has a lot of taste. It has a lot of taste. So how do you create that perfect image, and how long does it take you to create that perfect image from shooting to posting?
Not that long. I just edit things on my phone, really.
Yes.
But no, because I'm lucky that that Vic already, you know, has photography background. But of course, you know, he was predominantly a film photographer, so he would like to position me and then ask me to hold still, and I'm like, no. We need movement. We need this. Sometimes what I'll even do is I'll make him stand there, and I will shoot. You know, the angle that I want, and then I'll show him, okay, I want it to look like this.
How long does that process take? Is it painstaking?
No, not at all. Not at all. and what I do is I don't take photos every day that I'm traveling. Because I don't want to ruin the vacation. So yeah, so I'll allot certain time lang for photos.
For
And then
photo
after
shoot.
that, yes, and then after that wala na. After that we just
But
enjoy.
how do you direct the sharks? Parang,
You
have to be
cannot.
there.
Actually, no, you can. You basically throw food close to where you are.
Did it scare the shit out of you, or you were like, parang no, this is a great accessory. It's just, for the great food. I mean, for the gram, I will swim with the fucking sharks.
Okay.
Paano?
So I'll admit, the first time I swam with nurse sharks, I got a little bit scared, like before getting in the water. But then I saw someone else, and she seemed really comfortable. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's not so bad. But nurse sharks, kasi their teeth are inwards, so they can't really bite you unless you really stick your.
Parang lola, like ganyan.
Yes, yes.
So,
But then when
nagpapanik ka sa I love you, pero sa sharks, hindi ka takot.
No, because they can't really hurt you. So I'm guarded that way. Just kidding.
But that's so funny. You're a funny girl pala talaga. Nakakaloka ka. So of course, di ba parang a lot of us had to pivot, di ba? Lalo ka na, di ba? Syempre nakasingit ka nga ng bakasyon nakakainis ka. It's unfair for the rest of us, di ba? That's been cooped up at home. But of course, like, how do you, syempre there are things that we have to change in terms of like how we see the world now, di ba? Parang what are the things that parang this pandemic forced you to look at what is important? I mean, home life, family time, di ba? You are an interior designer. So how did that change the way you are going to design homes in the future? Kasi syempre ngayon, alam mo na parang, fuck, if I'm gonna spend my time at home for 150 days, di ba? These are the things that are essential now. Because if a pandemic happened now, it's not a far-fetched idea that it's going to happen again.
Right.
So in terms of your design aesthetic, di ba, parang how did that change in terms of planning and designing homes for the future? How does this pandemic change the way you look at that?
I think obviously now, right, we're spending more time at home.
Yes.
And, I'm like, I don't really want to go out so much because I'm scared. I don't want to bring the disease back into my home for my kid or my mom and stuff like that. So for me, it's really important to have a home that you're going to enjoy being in. Like, and when the time comes that things do start opening up again and you can start hosting dinners or get-togethers with your friends, I would much rather do it at home. And so I think it's important to make your home, like a space where you can also hang out with your friends. I notice it's not really a common thing here in the Philippines that people hang out at each other's houses. For me, kasi growing up, that was a thing that we always did on the weekends. We always used to hang out at my friend's house or my mom and dad's friends' houses. And so I think for me, in terms of designing a home, after like
post-pandemic.
Post-pandemic, make it feel like you're also at your own sort of resort.
Ang saya!
Because that's the point of why we travel, right? We travel because we want to get away. We travel because we want to feel like we're on vacation. So why don't you make your home feel like your own little vacation? Yeah. So and that's always been my design philosophy even before the pandemic. And so and so I think that's just gonna continue. Like really, even for me, when the lockdown happened, I started buying all these plants. I started like redecorating my house.
So you're like the rest of us, na parang bigla nagkaroon ng maraming halaman sa bahay.
Yes!
Because your aesthetic has always been trust. Kasi diba you're very beachy. Not bitchy beachy.
Well, I could be bitchy too, but
But like you're very beachy, diba? Parang like your aesthetic has always been tropical with hints of travel. I love what you did to your wall, like with the scarves and everything.
Thank you.
Diba? Parang everybody else like started parang I need life in my house. So everybody started like buying plants, ganyan.
Right.
So parang everybody has a green thumb. So do you think it's a trend that's gonna go on even after the pandemic? Like your house is gonna look like a garden?
I think so because like the sense of being outside, it makes you feel good about yourself. Like it like if you're living in a box and there's nothing else that's living in there but yourself, right? If you don't have pets, if you don't have kids, if you're living alone, it's nice to have another living organism in your home. And and the best way to do it is through plants. And
That's true.
adding greenery to any space instantly just makes you feel like, okay,
You're
I feel like,
outdoors.
yes, I have the outdoors inside my home. So
Have you always been outdoorsy? Have you always been outdoorsy?
yes, always. I used to
May
spend
beach ba
my
sa Saudi?
yes, I lived in a town that was coastal, so I spent all my weekends at the beach.
Okay. Yeah, so fun.
Yeah,
So
so
wait, so Max, so parang what's gonna happen now that parang it's slowly opening up? Are you still the type that's cautious? I'm still not gonna go out. I mean, the numbers are still getting higher.
right.
I mean, like, what is the behavior that happens after? Kasi diba, parang in the States, a lot of people are just sick of staying home and like they'd
Right.
rather parang take the risk and go out and have a nice dinner al fresco at some restaurant, diba?
Right.
Ano yung behavior ngayon? In terms of somebody like you, na parang kailangan mo kasi ng inspiration to design, di ba? Parang, I mean, like, what is the behavior considering that we had the longest lockdown, and it's still a very uncertain time. So I mean,
It is.
So how do you feel about that?
Honestly, it's sort of, I've always been the type to sort of roll with the punches. I don't wait for things to get started. I just sort of start doing things that I feel makes me feel good. Not necessarily, like, I miss clubbing. I know you do too. I miss going out. I miss having a good dance,
I saw you in Nectar pala. That was
Yeah! I miss doing all those things, but obviously, like, now I have other people to worry about. I have to worry about, my husband, who is immunocompromised. He might, if I get sick, he'll get sick even, even worse. I have Connor, I have my mom. Today was the first time I went through Rockwell in 4 months. Like,
Kamusta? Disorient ka?
Actually, no. I was just like, oh wow, it's like kind of normal. The malls, even Vic was like, it's fully open. I mean, aside from everyone wearing masks, and when I'm
puno yung parking, diba?
Yeah, I was like, wow, parang normal. It was like a normal day, but yun nga, people wearing masks. We had to fall in line, for certain stores. I'm the type that if I am in the supermarket or if I am in a store and someone gets too close, I'm like, no, keep your distance. But yeah, no, I think now people are just gonna be a little bit more connected, in the sense where maybe spend more time with each other in each other's homes, just so you feel so you feel a little bit safer. Like, we've been doing that now. We live in a really nice community, and we're friends with a lot of our neighbors. And so what we do is we'll invite, people over, small groups, of course, like my dermatologist, Dr. Casey. I know she was watching earlier. We would invite her and her husband and their little boy to come over to the house for dinner once a week, and it's just nice to sort of, what I loved about the pandemic also is that I got so much closer to a lot of my friends as well. It's because, we're all stuck at home. And so, we're talking to each other more. We want to know what's going on in each other's lives more. If there's one thing that
ironic, it's so ironic that because the pandemic made us, detached from each other in terms of you cannot physically be together, but yet the connection somehow became deeper.
Absolutely.
Us to like look at each other in a way that, okay, I cannot be with you right now, but I want to get to know you better. And it allowed us to become more close to our friends, and it allowed us to become more close to our partners. So I think this is a topic about love, of course. What are this? Because a lot of couples, especially married couples, hindi naman pwedeng married couples na hiwalay kayo mag-quarantine, diba? But a lot of couples have been quarantined together for like over 100 days, and a lot of couples have been quarantined apart. I mean, like, if you work abroad and stuff like that, diba? Parang, what has quarantining together with your partner taught you in the span of 100 days, in terms of like, if our followers think na parang, okay, so let's say the next time I'm going to be with someone, the next time I choose my partner, he has to be or she has to be quarantine ready. Meaning, like, what are the qualities that I now look for in a partner? Kasi kung mangyari ulit to, di ba, parang kailangan talaga ito yung qualities na meron siya. What are the things that you learned about like your partner and yourself in the whole sphere of the pandemic?
You know, Vic and I, since the pandemic, Vic and I have learned to communicate better with each other. Like we were living very fast-paced lives. Like
True.
we were traveling a lot, and
Yeah.
a lot of the times, you know, I'd be traveling without him, and he would be traveling without me, and so we didn't spend a lot of time together, like all day, every day. So this was the first time that we're literally in each other's faces. And you know, like but he's, you know, he made a sort of a routine for himself where every day he needs to go to the gym and work out, and he does his thing, and then I do my thing. But the nice
And then
thing
you
is, well,
converge at the dinner table or you converge at the lunch table.
yes, yes. And another thing that we also started doing is once a night we would do like our own sort of dinner date without, yeah, without Connor, without my sister, without anybody else, just the two of us. You know, like trying to sort of make that effort, because we live in a home where my mom's staying with us right now because her house is being renovated. My sister's here, you know, Connor's here. We live in and we have quite a bit of help, and so there's always sort of people around us all the time, and so we try to make little pockets of we try to
Quality time.
yes, pockets of quality time where, you know, we can sit down, have a nice little chat about how we're feeling, you know, what did we do for the day, because we're both back to work. Actually, we're both working now, and so we've learned to really communicate so much better than how we were communicating before the
Intimacy
pandemic.
is better. The intimacy, how is the intimacy? Is it better or is it like parang oh my God, there are things that I discovered now about you like I didn't really think about before. I mean, like when
Yes.
time was fleeting and when like life was fast. I mean, like when you're intimate towards each other, parang ano yung nagbago since parang kasi oh my God, like we never know. Like tomorrow we might get infected or like the whole world might get infected. We don't know if it's the end of the world, diba? So parang a lot of people now are having sex on the first date, provided that they still date, or provided
Right.
that, you know, parang it's such a weird place to be at for single people kasi parang, diba, a lot of people are still going on dates. And I know this for a fact because my single friends are going on dates.
Wow.
I've gone out on 2 dates, diba, since within the quarantine period. But how does that affect intimacy in terms of a marriage setup? So ikaw, do you feel that it has allowed you to become more intimate with him? And I don't just mean sex, intimate in terms
Yes.
of like connection and stuff like that. So paano nagbago yung intimacy from the time na alam mo pwede kang umalis tomorrow, pwede kayo mag-travel tomorrow, to the time na ayun, parang we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow?
I definitely found that we are definitely more connected and more intimate with each other. And for me, like you said, intimacy isn't just about sex. It's really about communication and being on the sort of same wavelength.
Yes.
And we definitely found that during the pandemic. Like I learned so many things about him. Just the other day, I didn't realize he had fears. He had certain kind of fears. And
wow.
yeah, and I was like, wow, we've been together almost 12 years and I didn't even know that. And so we are still, and that's sort of like the beauty, I guess, of, you know, sort of having separate lives sometimes, is that when you do come together, there's still so much more to learn about your partner that you thought you knew, but you didn't know. And yeah, I just found myself going, wow, I've known you for 12 years and I didn't know that about you. That's kind of cool. And so definitely, it's definitely a lot more intimate, again, because there's, you know, I mean, especially for single people, it's very hard to have physical touch. So the level of intimacy is very different. It's on an intellectual platform. It's on an emotional platform. And so, yeah, I mean, for me, kasi, yeah, all levels of intimacy is important. My language of love is, you know,
touch?
No, actually, it's not touch. That's Vic's language of love.
What's your language of love?
Is words of affirmation.
Talaga?
Yeah.
Generous with compliments?
He's not generous though with compliments. So
Ikaw?
when I am, I love to compliment people, and I'll compliment another woman. Like if I'm in the mall and I feel like someone's beautiful, I'll be like, hey, you know what? You're so beautiful. I love your hair. I love what you're wearing.
Bracelet. It's vintage.
Yeah. Oh. But yeah, so that's my love language. You know,
Maggie. Yes, go ahead.
No,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
I mean, like, of course, love is very important in the time of pandemic. But I think the books have been written about love in the time of cholera, love in the time of whatever. Ganyan. So how do you think love helped you in the whole scheme of the pandemic? How does romantic love help you? Helps you? How does it help you?
Well, it definitely helps, especially, you know, again, in times of uncertainty, sometimes you're feeling down and you don't really know, you know, what's going to happen. It's always nice to have someone you love or people that you care about around you. In fact, outside of like my marriage, even my friends, we would check up on each other every now and then. We may not talk to each other every day, but, you know, like I'll just get a random text from someone that maybe I'm not super close to, but I'm friends with, and he'll be like, "Hey, Mags, how are you? I just wanted to check on you." And I'm like, "Oh, that's so sweet. Like,
I'll do that to you. I'll do that to
that's
you
so thoughtful, you know?" And I'm like, it's so unexpected. I received so many messages like that from people that I wouldn't say I'm super duper close to, but, you know, they would reach out. They reached out just to check to see how I was doing. And that's so important. You know, I learned from them that even if you're not close to someone, if you're on your Instagram and you're watching someone's stories and you see that they might be going through something, send them a message. Be like, "Hey, you know, hope you're doing okay, or hope you have a great day. Sending you hugs." And I did that today. And, you know, I got a message back from this friend of mine, and she just laid it all out. And she's like, "Oh my God, I'm having a really shitty day." I was like, "Well, listen, I'm here if you need someone to talk to, because times are really hard. It messes with you mentally, you know. You don't know if you're gonna have a job to go back to, or you don't know like when you're gonna get to travel again. There's no way of knowing. So it's really important to have that sort of kind of love around you. And if you don't have it around you, give it, you know. So for me, yeah. So that's what I learned. Like a lot of people that I wasn't close to, or I didn't expect to hear from, started sending me messages, and that felt so good. And so I started doing that as well.
That's true. You don't lose anything about like reaching out, like being kind and reaching out. I mean, like we need that. Kasi wala tayong essentially what the virus did is parang it attacked the very thing that makes us human, which is human connection.
Right.
But you know, we're not gonna be, you know, like held back because of that. I mean, like there are other ways to show that you are connected, and that's like you said, like words of affirmation and stuff like that. And I'm so happy that I learned that about you, that you're a person that actually reaches out and, you know, affirms people, and that's what we need right now. So I just want to thank you that you talked to me and that you talked to us.
Aww.
It's been an hour. It's been an hour. Can you believe it?
I know. It didn't feel like an hour.
It didn't feel like an hour, but I want to thank you for like talking to us. I want to thank you for saying yes. I didn't have to make you pilit.
No, of course not. Thank you so much for thinking of me and for having me.
Yes, of course. Like when I was thinking about like sino ba yung mga babaeng like multifaceted? Syempre, ikaw yung una ko naisip. So maraming salamat, and I continue to be a fan of your feed.
Oh, thank you so much.
I hope you have a great week, Mags.
You too. Have a great evening, and good luck with Sweetie. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.